Alongside TSN hockey insider Chris Johnston, we're about 3 weeks away from free agency, and TSN continues to track the top 50 potential free agents, CJ, and any discussion about this is going to start with Mitch Marner. That continues to be the case, a big name hanging out there. CJ, you have a gut? Like, what's the gut instinct? That's what everybody is asking each other right now. Which way does this go?
Well, the gut instinct is he's going to test free agency. I mean, you don't get into mid-June without a contract as a player in his prime, as Mitch Marner clearly is, with a team that wanted to sign him the whole way along here, going back to last summer, and then at the last minute, go in another direction. I think at this point, it's very clear that Mitch Marner, while not necessarily closing the door fully on Toronto, wants to at least get to the point where he can have those kind of conversations above board, not just the some of the private ones that go on around this league with all kinds of different players, and really look at what's out there for him. And this is a unique opportunity. This is a time when the salary cap is about to take its first meaningful jump in a long time. Marner's coming off his first 100-point regular season, and as I mentioned, he's right in the meat of his career. He just had a baby, his wife did during the playoffs, and so he's at this time where I think he really wants to look at what the rest of his playing career might look like, because you're probably looking at a longer-term kind of contract here at dollars that very few players can command. So it's a long way of saying I really do think he's going to listen. I think he's very, very likely to leave Toronto, and we've got to see where he lands.
For the bulk of the free agents heading to market, their body of work, their resume has been submitted. That's not the case with two of the Florida Panthers. You got Brad Marchand and you got Sam Bennett that are both continuing to add to that resume. Let's start with Marchand because he was made available today. He was so at ease, CJ. Like, he sat there for 25 minutes doing a scrum, another 25 minutes standing around chatting. Mark Masters and I were joking, like, he's at ease with the media enough to maybe be able to handle the Toronto market, which he's had a lot to say about. But what do you make of Brad Marchand heading to market?
Well, I think he's done a lot for his value for two reasons, even at this stage of his career. Obviously, he's having a great playoffs. That's evident. He's scoring goals and showing how effective he can be. But there's also proof of concept here if you're a team that wants to bring him in, because we've seen what did he look like outside of Boston? It's work, right? I mean, that's always a question mark when you have a player that's so ingrained with one organization as Marchand was with the Bruins until that deadline trade. Like, you've seen it. He's just a plug-and-play difference maker for a team that has a chance to win a Stanley Cup here. So I think there's a lot of confidence in the market about him. One thing Marchand mentioned to me, actually, Ryan, was that there's a little uncertainty on both sides of the table with this summer just because of the fact the cap is taking a jump. It's going to take a jump again in 2 seasons, in 3 seasons. That's already baked in. And so, establishing what fair value is, I think, will be an interesting conversation, again, with everyone on our board. But with Marchand in particular, he's age 37, but, he very much wants to play into his 40s. I think he's going to get minimum a 3-year deal, but very likely a 4-year deal. And it will not surprise me if his price tag ends up north of $8 million. So, that's not the kind of money you typically see a player at this stage of his career get, but he's also having a playoffs that you don't usually see right before a guy hits the open market.
Sam Bennett, he's a bit of a unicorn around the league. A player that can produce that level of offense, always comes through on the big stage. He has shown is a heat-seeking missile physically and not afraid to fight just about anybody around. Like, this is a very unique player playing the best hockey of his life on the biggest stage heading into a contract.
I'm going to go so far as to say there's no precedent for exactly the precise circumstances you've outlined there. That we've never had a player who is a pending UFA, like Bennett is, perform at this level right before potentially hitting the open market. In fact, right now, if you were to take a poll of our colleagues here in the press room, I think he'd be the Conn Smythe favorite if that vote had to be made in this moment. And no Conn Smythe Trophy winner has ever left his team the summer after winning that award. I mean, that's to show you. I'm not saying A, he's leaving, and B, he's not fully winning that award, but I mean, that's the sort of unique circumstances that are at play here. And there's 30 teams at home right now with no games to play. Their front offices are watching this Cup final and going, wow, we could use a player like that. He's very unique, blend of the offensive and the dark arts, we'll call them. Yeah, so I mean, this is a guy that I think other organizations look at and say he can change everything for us. And so, look, I think he's most likely to remain a Panther. I think there's a lot that he likes about the circumstances. We saw this last year with his teammate Sam Reinhart, who won a cup and a couple days later signed a big extension rather than going to free agency. But it's going to be an interesting one to see how it plays out, because he has made himself a lot of money this spring.
Yeah. And it's not done yet. I mean, right in the heart of a Stanley Cup final where he is center stage and making a difference every single night, hurtling towards free agency. you.